Well, there we have it, guys. South Africa are going to the World Cup final. What a weird game this one turned into. South Africa taking this one by 1 point. They were in the lead for 2.5 minutes in the whole game. And they've won. They won that incredible semi-final. Maybe not a classic. Maybe not one people go back and watch a lot. Especially for me as someone like a neutral going into this one. Not the most exciting game in the world. An awful lot of stoppages, scrummaging, penalties, all that stuff going on. The weather conditions not helping out at all. But if you're an England supporter or a South African supporter, man, you might have been right on your edge of your seat for the final 10 minutes of that one. Heartbreak for England after such a good performance in this one, falling just short. We'll have a run through the key highlights and stuff. The game has just finished on my end. We'll go over that full-time reaction for you. Make sure you drop down in the comment section your thoughts on this game, because man, oh man, this game did not go the way I thought it was going to go into. I really thought South Africa were going to come into this one and dominate for big portions of the game, and England were really going to struggle. There was a lot of talk, when we started getting into this World Cup. I saw a lot of different team supporters saying, oh, my team's been, ruled out of the World Cup. People don't see us getting through to the final. Oh, I'm a New Zealand supporter. People have ruled us out. They don't think we're going to do anything. I'm a France supporter. I'm an Ireland supporter. I read all of them, basically. Every team saying they were ruled out. And while I don't think a lot of the teams were being ruled out in that sort of top end of the world rankings, one team that I put my hands up and say I ruled them out of getting into the World Cup final this year before the tournament started was England. And for 75 minutes of this game, they were going to be proving me absolutely wrong because they took control of this game in one of the most England ways ever, right? The whole game plan is counteracting all of South Africa's really strong elements. They did it so well, and then punishing them through the boot of Owen Farrell and just taking those penalties. Didn't look like they were going to be going for tries today. I mentioned it in the preview video. I was expecting 0 tries, maybe 1 from England today. They didn't even look at it today. It was all about the penalties, all about taking those 3 points, and very, very nearly paid off for them. What a tough old game. So that opening 10 minutes, all England taking full advantage of that one. South Africa struggling a lot to get into this game. It took them a long time to take any sort of foothold. Actually, I wrote this down at the 10-minute marker. It actually sort of went beyond that in terms of South Africa wanting to get into the game. England winning the aerial battle is, again, another theme that sort of went on throughout the day. The back three for England really doing well into the high ball. South Africa really struggling. We saw a number of times today the ball being kicked over the back, or just not being caught cleanly, knock-ons given, or kicks going out, and horrible bounces of the ball for Arendse. There was a couple of them today that just would not go into his hands, like some sort of magic or magnets or something was moving them away from his hands. But England absolutely looking superior in the air today. In that first 10 minutes, I counted 4 contestable high balls, and England won all 4 of them in that opening 10 minutes alone. England neutralising the South African counter-ruck, something we saw across the quarterfinals and beyond. How good South Africa have been at doing that kick, chasing it up, waiting for someone to get it, big catch, bang, take the hit, and then just running over in the counter ruck and earning the ball back. England doing so well today to not get caught out in that. Freddie Stewart in that backfield, holding onto the ball well, and having people like Bernal rucking back over, not letting South Africa get on the front foot through that. And then also that South African line-out. Man, was that struggling a lot today. Bongi Mbonambi was really struggling. The weather conditions, again, maybe not helping them out that much at all. With the weather, we saw Jamie George also struggling with his lineouts later on into that game. But yeah, some very uncharacteristic lineout throws from South Africa today. Just missed throws, getting stolen, or they were being just thrown not in straight at all with players jumping across the line, as well as some penalties at the breakdown. Those early penalties at the breakdown, 2 of which going to Owen Farrell to kick them over, put them out to a 6-0 lead, and England looked in the full driving seat. I'd say from 10 minutes, to be honest, it probably pushed up towards that sort of 15-minute marker. In the sort of 15-minute marker, South Africa did have chance to go for some points. They got their own penalty. They chose to kick to the corner, and of course they're 6-0 down on the board. It's still early in the game, so you think maybe they're willing to chance their arm a bit. Went for the big maul. England defensive maul today looked absolutely solid. Stopped South Africa dead. Didn't go anywhere. Went to ground. had to reset. But a penalty coming in against Manu Tuilagi for rushing in afterwards and starting a bit of afters and stuff. Ben O'Keefe was being extremely direct in his calls today. Said we weren't having any of that, so gave South Africa another penalty for Tuilagi rushing into that one. Again, turned down the 3, went to that corner again. England defensive maul again, solid, stopped it once more, and then the following play, the ball dropped. So 2 opportunities for South Africa to get on the points board. Didn't get away with anything in that one, and England will be very, very happy by that defensive set as well, because in the following scrum from that knock-in as well, also got a penalty themselves to have that easy exit. So I was a little bit concerned that maybe we're going to see shades of the Ireland South Africa game, where Ireland kept trying to get into that corner rather than maybe just taking those 3 points. But they did correct that in the 21st minute. They got yet another silly penalty. England not handing the ball back over to them warranted them being pushed back 10 metres. Owen Farrell screaming at the referee in sort of anger. Not really the way to be getting on Ben O'Keefe's side today. And Mani Libbok said, "We know what, we've had 2 attempts there. It didn't get anything for us. We'll take the 3," and did slot that one through. And it was almost his last sort of action of the half, to be fair, because one of the big talking points about that opening half, Mani Libbok taken off after 31 minutes, and he wasn't having the best game. He wasn't really getting underway. I mean, I don't want to pin everything on Mani Libbok for this one. I think there was a lot of issues in this South Africa team in that first half, especially. The breakdown situation wasn't good enough. The aerial battle wasn't good enough. The line out throwing really wasn't good enough either. So Mani Libbok unfortunately feel like he took the brunt a bit. His kicking today, kicking at the post, he's 1 from 1. Which is what you wanted to start seeing from Mani Libbok, was consistency in the kicks, but not giving the opportunity to get any more, because the kicking from hand, not the best from him. Not finding good distance when he's kicking for touch, or just going for some of the up and unders, not really making him very contestable. So kind of Shepherd's crooked off in that 31st minute, and Andre Pollard coming on hoping to fix the issues. And to be fair, did run it. I don't know if he ran it better necessarily. There were still some kicks from Andre Pollard today that felt a bit aimless, from his own hands and sort of kicking it deep, and England just called the mark and stuff. I'm not necessarily sure he played it better, but in terms of just organising the rest of his team and being slightly better in terms of the meters found on his kicks, you'd have to say he was better. And then, of course, by the end, when you get to some of these scores, yeah, you absolutely need to be having Andre Pollard on the field at that point. And then the rest of the half, just, more penalties going on. 12-6 at half-time, just backing your 10s to be slotting through those points. It was kind of interesting, this game. The weather conditions not the best for them, but some of the sort of halftime notes for that, when I said South Africa are just not using the backs at all. Arendse got his hands on the ball a few times. He was really trying to look for that ball, going into the high ball a lot. I don't know if we heard Cheslin Colby's name said in that first half. Very, very quiet. Jesse Creel as well, not getting the ball in his own hands. He was being used as a sort of ruck operator. From an England standpoint, it was just to cut out that aggression, cut out that sort of verbalization towards the ref. It's an emotional game. It's a big one, but you've just got to keep calm towards the ref, keep him on your side, and not give away those easy penalties, because, when you end up with a 1-point score and, maybe those opportunities being handed back to South Africa by being too aggressive and being too vocal, is, all you really want to see them shut out. Because other than that, the England performance in that first half was actually really well-rounded and really solid from them. So I think they've got a lot of positives to take away from that first half. The second half did get extremely choppy, though. The rain coming down a little bit more, making a lot more issues for both these teams in terms of the handling errors. Very, very stop-start. We were going a lot more from set piece to set piece. South Africa loaded up on the bench, coming onto the game early, in this one as well, like we got to see in that quarterfinals as well. Now, in the quarterfinals, I thought it was the wrong move. I thought most of the lads that came on from the bench actually had a negative impact on the game after they came on, bar people like Quagga Smith. This game felt the opposite. This time it felt like the correct move. Those lads coming on from that bench early made an enormous impact. We saw it straight away at the scrum. The scrum just turned on its head, and England drove back on their own scrum on the first time those lads came on. The ball carrying looked better. The breakdown situation looked better from them. So many things, it's taken a big improvement. Faf de Klerk, I think, shone above Cobus Reinach today. Willie LaRue came on. I thought he was doing pretty well in that backfield. Damien Valemsa maybe a little bit 50-50 for me today. So this one's a bit more of the reverse of what I said in the France versus South Africa review game. But that 40 to 60 minute period, it's just about taking the opportunities and teams not doing it, really. I mean, Owen Farrell got a hell of a drop goal in the 53rd minute. Must have been a 50-metre drop goal on the angle. Great choice by him just to put England that little bit further ahead, 9-point lead. But, you know, other opportunities came along. England had a 5-metre driving maul, but the ball wasn't thrown straight by Jamie George, and that sort of ruined that attack for them. We had an England 5-metre attacking scrum. That was after one of the balls bounced really horrendously for Arendse. Didn't manage to get it. But again, scrum driven back by South Africa, and they were able to exit again from that one. England had opportunities to take more points from this game. And when you make those mistakes, you know, so close to that try line, you just remove any opportunity for you to get over and score the big points, as opposed to, you know, to just chipping away at those 3-pointers. Speaking of tries then, we did have one. R.G. Snyman coming in again off the back of that scrum. Those subs made such an impact to that South African scrum today. It might be the one thing that kept them in this game. Because that scrum, after all those subs came on, the impact those lads made just brought a new air to the game for that South Africa team. The backs weren't getting involved. It wasn't doing too well in terms of the aerial battle, the scrum, and that individual set piece was all they had going for them. Winning themselves a penalty. Great kick by Andre Parlad to kick all the way up about sort of 8 to 10 metres out from the England try line. Set up for the big driving maul. Broke off the back, comes from Dion Forey and smashes all the way up, getting stopped just short of the line. And R.G. Snyman goes over on the crash ball, doing well to drop that one down. And Andre Pollard converting that one over. So out of nowhere, you know, we go from 15-6 to 15-13, all because of a dominant scrum. And then later on, it is that South African scrum once again that just starts banging these nails in an England coffin and gives South Africa yet another penalty. Long range kick, a lot of pressure on Andre Parlad, but didn't seem to faze him at all. Great kick by him, slotting that one over to take South Africa out 16 points to 15. South Africa taking the lead in this game in the 78th minute, and then it was just how they were going to try and control this game. They were kicked back into their own 22. They went through a couple of phases, and you saw Faf de Klerk setting up for the box kick, and you think, what on earth are they going to do here if they throw this game away by kicking this one? Got a good exit clearance kick from them, and then South Africa just found that little extra gear they needed. That's why, you know, you get to that World Champions, is because you can find that last gear when you desperately need to. Defensive work on that halfway line, brilliant. England did not look like they were going to be going anywhere, and eventually that ball going loose from Billy Vunipola, who from the moment he came on, unfortunately just seemed to be causing issues for this England team. And South Africa go on to seal out this game by 1 point, which is exactly the same number of points, you know, they won that quarterfinals by. They are becoming the champs of just taking a game by just backing finding an area they can exploit, and it's in both games have been the scrum. Calling the mark and going for the scrum, just no other teams doing that. Happened again today. That was what allowed them to then clear that ball and ultimately led to the Andre Pollard penalty right at the end of the game. Was that mark, scrum, won a penalty, moved up the field, knock on, another scrum, another penalty, and that's what allows you to win the game. South Africa have just got such a dominant scrum. So many teams are struggling to cope with it. But my goodness, you can feel sorry for England in this one, because I think across the tournament, their performances haven't blown me away. And maybe didn't blow me away again today in this one, but it was just doing the right things, doing the professional, acts. They really mitigated nearly every area of the South Africa game today. It really didn't look like South Africa had anything they could latch onto. It was when those subs came on and that scrum became just completely one-sided. It changed the layout of the game, and it sort of showed to me a little bit like maybe England didn't have an actual game plan to go on to win this game, other than mitigate all of the South African areas of play and just punish them, and you take the penalties as the reward and you go on to win that. But as soon as that one area gets fixed and they're able to dominate it, suddenly that's the area they focused on the most, and England had no way to recover from there. And it's just then, just again and again and again, keep doing these scrums. And there's a lot of teams in the world that are going to really struggle against that South African scrum. But you have to feel sorry for some of those England players today who put in a really, really solid performance and really didn't let anything slip across the board. just that scrum, is such a weapon for South Africa. So South Africa win this one. Congratulations to all you South African supporters. You'll be going on to face New Zealand in the final for, I believe, like a historic World Cup final, because we've got New Zealand on 3, we've got South Africa on 3. Who'll be the first team to 4? That's all very exciting stuff. Looking forward to see that game. England not out. Technically, they are going on to play that third place playoff against Argentina, a team they beat very comfortably in the pools. So they've still got one game left, big opportunity to get some big pride in. I'm kind of hoping we see some tries. It's the one thing it doesn't feel like we've seen from England, unless you look at like the Chile game. I want to see England get involved. I don't want to see them just do the 3-pointer thing anymore. It's a third place playoff. You can assign your own amount of meaning to that in a World Cup and what have you, but I want to see tries. Let's have some World Cup highlights from that one, and really hope that England put in another solid performance in that one. But man, do feel sorry for some of those England players today, because I did think there was a lot of them that did put in a really solid performance. So commiserations to England, congratulations to South Africa, and we'll move on to next week, the final of the Rugby World Cup. It has absolutely flown by. I, as a neutral, have enjoyed watching the semi-finals. I hope you guys have too. I'll see you next time, guys. Bye-bye.